We'll call this meeting to order. Let the record show that superintendent, board members, and our attorney are all present. Let's please stand for prayer and pledge with Mr. Lundy.
That's great. And Father, thank you for this day that you've given us. Thank you for the strength and the health that you have provided us. And we ask this evening as we assemble, Lord, that we might be able to take care of the business and of our community, of our schools, for our community, our parents, our children. Give us the wisdom that we need, Lord, to do the very best for each other. And we just pray for the many needs that we have during this time of sickness among in our community and in our nation and the world over. We pray for your compassion and your kindness and for your hand of protection upon us. And again, we thank you for whom all strength and health comes from and blessings. And we just ask these things in your name, dear Jesus. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we'll enter into our organizational meeting. First up, we have let's adopt the agenda for the organizational meeting. Can I get a motion? A motion by Ms. Donnell.
Second.
Second by Ms. Carlton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next is the election of the chairman to serve over the chair of the board for this next year. I'll open the floor up for nominations.
I'll nominate Mr. Danny Lundy again.
I have a nomination by Ms. Bonnie Sue Agner for Danny Lundy.
A second.
Then I had Ms. Donnell. Okay.
I was gonna nominate Bonnie, but she nominated Danny.
Okay, before we close the floor, any more nominations? All right, so we got Brother Lundy on the nominated again to be the board chair. We've got a second from Ms. Mathis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Brother Danny, back over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, we go now for the election of the vice chairman of the board. What's the pleasure of the board?
Nominate Jeannie Mathis.
A nomination for Jeannie Mathis. We have a motion for that. Okay, Ms. Donnell seconds it. All in favor, or that's all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And then, of course, next item would be the establishment, the establishment of regular meeting place, dates, and times. What's the pleasure of the board?
Okay, we've always had it the first and the third Tuesday, and then we've been at 5:45. Y'all okay with keeping it the same, or anybody wanting to change? Is that?
I can come earlier. I can be here at 5:15.
I can't come earlier, so I mean, I would like 6, but if the board agrees to 5:45, I'll stick with 5:45. But I can't come early. I wish I can, but I can't.
But you can make 5:45?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm fine with 5:45.
Okay, so
I would make that as a
the
motion.
motion's been made for the first and third Tuesdays, meeting time at 5:45. Do we have a second on that? Okay, Ms. Agner seconds it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right. All right, comes now time for us to appoint our school board attorney.
I would make a motion that we would appoint Ms. Angela Ball.
A second.
All right, Ms. Carlton makes the motion to continue to have Ms. Ball as our attorney, and Ms. Mathis seconds it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? All right, so carried. And now it's time for us to take care of the appointment of board members to serve on individual committees. The number one item is for FISBIT, representative and alternative.
Ms. Brenda Carlton for the representative.
Okay, you make the motion for Ms. Carlton to be the representative for us. Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been seconded. Motion made by Ms. Agner, seconded by Ms. Mathis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So carried. And then for an alternative.
I would make a motion, if Bonnie Sue would do it, since she does know some insurance, I would recommend Bonnie Sue.
Okay, a motion's on the table for Ms. Agner to serve as the alternate.
I second.
Okay, Ms. Mathis seconds it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right. Okay, and then we move down to item number 2, Small School District Consortium.
I recommend, Jeannie. I think I'm currently.
That's what I was fixing to say, Warren.
I can do that.
Okay, Ms. Mathis?
Second.
Okay. So we had a motion, and then we had a second by Ms. Agner. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, so carried. All right, and then we're down to the Transportation Committee.
I think this was Danny last year, wasn't it? It was you? Okay. Well, who was safety then?
Jeannie was like,
Jeannie was, okay. So,
I recommend, Bonnie.
okay.
Whom? Ms. Agner for Transportation.
I'll,
The patient safety.
Okay,
I'll second it then.
okay, so motion's been made and seconded for Ms. Agner to serve on that. All in favor, say aye.
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 So carried. Then now for our Safety Committee.
So,
I will.
Jeannie? Make a motion for Jeannie?
Okay, well, Ms. Mathis volunteers herself or do,
that's
Wait,
fine.
wait, Brenda, do you
That's
want to do
fine.
it?
That's fine. No, I'm okay.
you okay? You
Mhm.
make a motion for that?
Well, Bonnie did the motion, right?
Okay.
and I'll
all right,
do the
Ms. Agner
second.
makes a motion, Ms. Carlton seconds it. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Wait, was that for me?
Yes, for Ms. Mathis. Yes, yes. And then number 5, the Value of Adjustment Board. This was taken care of back in July this year. Ms. Donnell and Ms. Mathis is an alternate, and that's coming up, or already has.
We already did. We
Yeah,
got
already.
done.
Certified.
Like, one meeting, like, we did the first organization meeting, and then the next week we
Okay.
done.
So do we have to redo it now?
We'll have to do it next year.
Yeah.
We don't, okay.
We could do it now, but we
They
still have to do
changed,
it.
they changed the times of doing it. Okay. And then, of course, number 6, for the Florida School Board Association Representative Advocacy, that was also taken care of back in June of this year. So Ms. Agner was the representative, Ms. Mathis was the alternate. on
And that runs for a year. That'll run to
Right.
to
Okay.
June.
So we're good on that. All righty. Adjournment, recess. You make a motion to adjourn.
And I
Ms.
second.
Donnell and Ms. Carlton seconds it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, so called, so carried. We'll move right on in now to our open meeting and, of course, roll call. As it has already been noted, we will note again that the superintendent, board attorney, all board members are present. Move down to the adoption of the agenda. And I think we had a request to pull 8.01 number 2 for action item. Okay. Is there anything else that we need to do with the agenda?
The one that I left on your table is just adding.
The update?
Yeah.
Okay, just,
It's already added.
you're right. Just, and make note that there were 2 items that was added that's on the agenda. 12.01, we had an employee added to the personnel recommendations. And then added 9.01, which was a request for school bus trip to.
Did you still want yours?
I talked to
Okay,
Danny about it.
okay,
We're not
yeah,
gonna pull
we're-
that.
Okay,
I got mine.
Okay.
okay. I'd make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion. Do we have a second? Ms. Donnell seconds it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. Item 2.04, approval of minutes. This is minutes of November the 3rd. That says 2/19. It should be 2/20, shouldn't it? Yeah, okay, make note of that. Legal meeting, regular school board meeting, and executive session.
We need to make one adjustment to that.
14.03, the date should be December 12th. Instead of December
14.03.
It says,
It says Saturday, December 13th.
but the 13th is a Sunday, so it should be.
Right,
Saturday.
okay, right. We went over that the other day. Okay, just getting the dates right on that. Yep.
Everybody come and get the storage buildings that was asked for? No one?
I think the sheriff's the only one that's moved them so far.
December the 12th is the
Yeah.
I'm
I can't hear. I say the board of Southern and leadership council, they keep the buildings that they requested.
only one that's moved any was the softball team and sheriff. The only one.
Oh, so are they going up for options are they going up for the option since no one came and got them?
I figure we'll talk to them before we do that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, so
Second.
do we have a motion? Ms. Agner makes the motion that we approve the minutes. Second. Ms. Donnell seconds it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, so carried. Now we'll come to a presentation this evening, and I'll let Mr. Glover introduce and share with us.
Get Miss Holly's name, last name wrong.
It's Denchman.
Denchman.
It's all right.
So, when we talked about looking at some of our hiring procedures and policies and recruiting, when I reached out to John at Pace, he told me he had just a person to send to us. She's an expert in this area. I'll let her talk more about that, but it's been used in several other districts, has made a big difference. So I asked her to come present to y'all tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Glover, for asking me to be here. Board members, congratulations to you and to you, Ms. Mathis, and to you, Dr. Glover, on being sworn in for another 4-year term. I'm happy to be here tonight and pleased to have the opportunity to talk to you about the project that I propose. I was asked to come in the wake of the Blaylock discrimination complaint and report to review and make recommendations. I think I'm uniquely qualified to do that. Let me tell you a little bit about myself and then what I propose to do exactly. I am born and raised originally in Panama City, Florida, and went to Florida State University for undergrad and law school. I'm an attorney in Tallahassee at a law firm called Coppins Monroe. I've been practicing for 23 years. For most of that, I have been doing work with school boards. I also have some private pay clients in addition to school boards and school districts. I am board certified by the Florida Bar in labor and employment law. So I do know quite a lot about the labor and employment laws generally and about those that affect school districts specifically. I think that this is an important project, and I have provided you all, I sent Ms. Ball a letter of representation for the board's approval. And I think you saw that at your November 3rd meeting. And Dr. Glover said, well, could you come back and give a little bit more and talk a little bit and like, how much is this going to cost and what all is going to be involved, which are valid considerations and points on both fronts. So I've done that and provided some additional information for you. What I propose to do will take place starting now, if it's approved, and run through and be finished, I anticipate in April of 2021. That's a long time. That's a lot of time. But I think it's a lot of work that needs to be done. If you look at the information that I've given you that has like an estimated budget and plan, the grand total is $16,500. and that represents what I anticipate will be 100 hours of work. Let me break that down for you into what exactly it is that I intend to do. First of all, I think it's important that we start by understanding the demographics of Taylor County as a whole outside of the school district, and then understanding and taking a deep dive into the demographics within the school district, not only of the student body, but also of every classification of employees that the Florida statutes recognize in the education code. What do we have? What do we look like now? And then what I want to do is in early December, I'd like to come back and spend 2 days conducting interviews of key staff. The people I want to talk with, I want to talk to the superintendent. I want to talk with the board chair at a minimum, your HR director, site department level hiring authorities, and site hiring authorities like your principals and department level staff. I want to talk with your collective bargaining team members, and if the union will give me their bargaining team members, I'd like to talk with them if they'll have me. So 2 full days of interviews really to understand what are the policies, what are the practices, how does hiring work in Taylor County, sort of a soup to nuts approach, so that I understand all of those factors. And also understanding recruitment, really anything that comes with bringing talent into this district to help the district succeed and to help the students succeed, that's going to be important to me. And I should say, I don't have any connection to this district. I mean, I have not done any legal work for you guys. I haven't done any litigation. I live in Tallahassee. I like Taylor County. I came over here and went to your bakery, shopped around, like you downtown. It's a lovely place, but I don't have any connection here, really. So I believe I'm able to take an objective point of view. Then what I will do, and really this is where the bulk of the work comes in, and that's doing a review of those policies and procedures and practices and putting together a comprehensive report with recommendations for changes. I think you can probably tell from my demeanor, I'm very straightforward. I call things like I see it. When I see good things, I say so. When I see things that need to be changed, I say so. A big part of your job when you're an attorney and you litigate is sometimes to tell people what they're getting right, and more importantly, to tell them what they're getting wrong and help them and try to help fix it. So that will be my focus. And you can see I will also be doing that with an eye toward legality, because you don't want to make changes that are going to create unanticipated legal problems for you later on. So I think that's an important consideration. Then once that's done, I anticipate coming back to this body and making a presentation about that. As I said, I consider myself to be an ally and an implementer. So I'm not just the sort of person who's going to say, well, you're doing this right, you're doing this wrong, you need to change this. I want to work with district staff to put together a timeline and to plan for implementation. I think that's very important. And I also think that consideration of the money aspects of it, for instance, if you make changes to your recruiting practices, if you're doing things, a lot of times there's a price tag attached to that. And I think that's an important consideration as you plan, so that you understand that and that you come up with a timeline and a plan that's actually workable. It's no point in having a beautiful report that just sits on a shelf and gathers dust if nobody does anything with it. So I think that's important. And then finally, the last, and what I consider to be one of the probably two most important components of this, and I do a lot of this in my day-to-day. I am a regular trainer on a variety of topics. Some of your principals were here for the swearing in. A couple I know had seen me doing a training through PAEC. It's something I love to do. I like working with people. I like training. I like the idea of being able to come in and help people understand things so that everything runs smoothly and we don't have problems. I find that to be very satisfying. So I would put together a training program with materials and then have all of your hiring authorities participate in that. And I would recommend too, that not only the actual people who are making the hiring recommendations, but also the staff that get delegated tasks that are instrumental to the hiring process. For instance, school secretaries that end up being delegated to do reference checks and that sort of thing, come and participate as well, so that everybody understands what the plan is and how we get from where we are to where we want to be. And I think that all of that, you know, I've given you a price tag here, $165 an hour. I know that's not cheap. For attorneys, it's probably a deal. I think it's a reasonable price, and that's what I'm asking you to do. I do want to talk a little bit about what I think is the second most important piece of this, and that is recruiting. I have some ideas and thoughts about how you attract and get high quality, super competent minority applicants and include them in your labor pool. I want to say too that in my mind, this is not about quotas. What it's about is about helping the district have hiring processes that allow you to have the best qualified candidate for an applicant and to pick the best person for any job, but doing things to make sure that we are getting top-notch minority candidates in that pool and available. And I think that will probably get you where you need to be. Some things that I think that I've already been thinking about. I think we can probably improve our resources and recruiting information that we have on our website. You have a very, very good website just in general, it's very good. And your HR components are very good. There are districts who are doing some interesting things with recruiting. St. Johns County is a great one. You can look at that. They do a fantastic job with recruiting. They do things like publishing a schedule of their recruiting events. Where are we going to be and when? And how do you sign up? I think that's a plus. Maybe planning and hosting our own recruiting event. Broadening advertisement of job opportunities. There are some very good minority sources. There's one called School Jobs. There's one called Diversity in Ed. There are really some very good websites for advertisement that are targeted toward minority teacher applicants and educator applicants. And I think that's important. Another thing too, I think we probably ought to be looking at what I call a grow your own program in our high school. The Department of Education within Florida sponsors the Florida Future Educators of America. There are other good programs. That's, I think, an easy thing to implement to get all students in our district who might want to go into education exposed and get them involved. And I don't think that there's these curriculums and the materials are there. It's not rocket science. This is absolutely doable and doable with low expense. I think that we ought to consider affiliation with minority recruitment organizations. There's a group called NEMNET, NEMNET. They have over 350 employers. They have 63 in Florida. School districts like Alachua, Brevard, Pasco, Hendry, Hillsborough, Lee, Marion, Orange, Pinellas, Polk, Sarasota, Indian River. They all participate in that. They have a regional hiring fair in Atlanta. I will tell you this. I know we already work with a couple of HBCUs. For those who don't know, that's historically Black colleges and universities. I think we can expand that outwards. I took the liberty of taking a picture. This is the number of HBCUs in the Southeast. That's not all by name. I've got a list. But we've got, of the top 10 that provide minority educators, top 10 in the nation, we've got 3 that are relatively close by. Albany State, Alabama State University in Montgomery, and Alabama A&M in Huntsville. And 20%.
What was that list right there again?
What?
The 3 you just called up?
I had looked up a list of the top 10 HBCUs that produce minority educators.
You forget, you didn't say FAMU, so I was just.
Oh, FAMU's on my list.
Oh, okay.
But FAMU's
just-
not one of the top 10. We're working,
that's
with-
why
we
I was
work with
wondering.
FAMU. My list is right here.
I'm a little I'm a little biased.
I
so-
hear you. I hear you. My list is Albany State, Alabama A&M, Florida A&M,
Okay.
Edward Waters College in Jacksonville, Bethune-Cookman in Daytona, and Tuskegee University. That's the list that I think is really the probably geographically and quality wise, probably good targets for us. So these are some of the ideas I have. HBCUs, they serve like 0.1% of the overall college student market that's out there. But over 20% of minority educators get their degree from an HBCU. They are probably the single best source. And you got to cast your net where the fish are. And that's what I think is going to be an important component of that. I've thought too about partnering with the Chamber of Commerce to get some materials together that will be attractive to applicants, to show what Taylor County is, what is the draw of Taylor County, so that when we do participate in hiring fairs, we can put forth our best foot and be an attractive source for applicants.
Now, are you speaking of the local Chamber of Commerce or the minority Chamber of Commerce?
I didn't know there was a minority Chamber of Commerce, but I
Not
would say
here, but
both.
there's one in Tallahassee.
I would say both. I would say both. And to me, that's really a source of high quality, free or low cost materials that are nice to use when you do recruiting. I know people are worried that during a pandemic, how are we going to recruit during a pandemic? And I will say there are fewer in-person events. I'm hopeful that when we have a vaccine, that by spring we will see more in-person events. But there are a lot of events, especially for minorities, that are being done virtually. I can tell you that there's a Florida Virtual Teacher of Color Job Fair in February of 2021. There are two other Teacher of Color events in January and February. Diversity in Ed, that Duval, Alachua, Indian River, Pinellas, and Polk U's are having a virtual career fair April 14th of 2021. The opportunities are there. We have to find them, and we have to get it on the calendar, and we have to get ready and go. And I think it's really that. I don't want to oversimplify it. I can tell you, I've already taken a look at, a lot of your forms and your policies. They need a review. They're not horribly deficient. I'm just going to tell you, there's going to be some things, but what you really need, in my opinion, to focus on is recruitment and training of your hiring authorities. Those are the two areas that you're going to see the biggest impact. So that's what my proposal is, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I hope that I've given you a comprehensive plan and an idea of what I'd like to do and a plan for how I propose to get it done.
I got a question on your, the school districts that you've helped in the past. What were their sizes? And can you give us an example of what you did there and how successful it was?
Absolutely. I've worked with most of the school districts in the Panhandle Area Education Consortium. I've spent a lot of time with Wakulla, I could provide you with tons of training materials that I have done. Most of these are long-term relationships that I've had where we will do new educator training. I go in, I've Calhoun, Liberty, Wakulla, Walton, Jackson to a lesser extent. I've worked with a lot of different districts. I do work with Franklin. I've done work training in Franklin and with various personnel aspects. So what are the type of things I do? I do all kinds of things. I will help districts when they have personnel questions. I will field, when they have hiring questions, when they need policy review or policy suggestions, I do that. I do a lot of training. I've done a ton of training through PAEC, whether that's for teachers, for principals and leadership training. whether it's for paraprofessionals. I've done ethics training. I've done board ethics training. I mean, I've done a whole lot of work in this area. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to come off like a braggart, but I do feel like I have the experience to do a good job for you.
And do you have like something that, like a measure stick, as far as, can you give us an example of a success story? Something that you saw a major change in the district that you can say, oh, well, here's an example of one that was really, they recruited a lot of people and got more people than they
Well-
were used to, because, I mean, honestly, we hire anybody that's qualified if they apply, because we're begging, and I know just about every district is begging for people to come and apply. But Taylor County doesn't have a sustainable, a lot of times, for the family. So in maybe in Jackson County or some of the other small counties you've worked in, and you're saying you're going through the chamber and those kind of things, how did you see that come to play? Did it help?
Absolutely. Wakulla is probably one of my best examples.
Well, their like success story begin with, yeah.
Yes, but I'm going to tell you, when I first started working with them, their HR was dramatically different than it is. Now, I will attribute part of that to dynamic leadership within the Human Resources Office and sort of a never give up, never say die mentality. But I think that's not necessarily a prerequisite. I worked with them to come up with multiple strategies. Karen Wells was their human resources director, and now it is Angie Walker. I've worked with them for over a decade in terms of just incremental changes, things that they do. And really, it's not like I've gone in and said, hi, Wakulla, I'm here and I'm going to fix all of your stuff. And I can't say, and that took 6 months and we went from this percentage of minority to this. No, I can't tell you that. But what I can tell you is that I've been a long-term partner with them and working with them on a daily basis. Yes, dealing with issues as they come up. When there's a need, developing a training program, developing policy changes. I know some of these districts, Wakulla, Walton, Franklin to a lesser extent, like I know the back of my own hand. So, yeah.
I have a couple of questions for you. Ms., how do you pronounce your last name again?
Denchman. It looks like Dinkman, but the C's pronounced like a CH.
I want to start out with the question because I want to make sure I don't forget to ask this question. But in your proposal, you stated that you wanted to interview key staff. And I guess my concern is the key staff are, our administrators, our HR director, the superintendent, and the board chair. But I guess my concern is with the key staff, that's the existing individuals that's, basically been doing the hiring. So I guess my question is, it doesn't offer a lot of diversity with our key administrative staff. And so since there is a concern, and I also have a concern for us equity. I was going to ask you about your equity experience and mindset, but I guess that's my main concern is because the individuals you're interviewing are the ones that's kind of been doing what we have now. And what we have now, it seems like it's more of a culture and a practice versus policy at the root. And I do like what you have shared regarding your experience. And it does, to me, offer more insight to what you have proposed. So I guess I'm just concerned with you're just interviewing the key staff.
Well, my thought was to interview folks who are involved in the hiring process so that I can understand how things have worked and what the steps are in the hiring process. I mean, I'm happy to expand that out somewhat.
Okay.
But, I think organically you start there and there are others if the need arises that I can that I can talk to. I mean,
Okay.
I guess I'm open to suggestions is what I'm saying.
Okay. And basically, you seem like you have worked with a lot of districts that are equal or equivalent to our size. So I definitely feel like you have the experience with dealing with smaller communities and smaller districts. But I guess my concern is, what is your, are we going to be evaluating the entire recruitment process? Or are we just going to be looking at, like, far as, like you mentioned, educators? I know we definitely, need some work with recruitment across the
Soup to
board.
nuts, soup to nuts.
Okay, all right.
I don't think you can look at hiring and just say educators.
Okay,
Although I certainly think that the people who have the most day-to-day contact with your student body are the ones that are positioned to make the greatest immediate impact.
Mhm.
But yeah, yes, administrators, I mean, it matters across the board.
but that's my
Yes,
concern.
I do
Okay.
think it matters across the board,
Mhm.
which is why if it's someone who, I don't know, your food service director who is in charge of hiring folks who work in food service, your facilities, and part of that really in my mind is starting really with the superintendent and the human resources director, because first you got to figure out who does that in this
Mhm.
district, and putting together a list. Now, I put together what I thought was a list based on my own experience and knowledge of other districts.
Mhm.
But when you get into it, you learn, and as you learn the district, you learn how the processes work, and you learn who you need to speak with.
But
Could
to
I-
me, what my concern has been, it seems like there's been more, there's been less overhead when it comes to administrative. But it seemed like, administrative recruiting has had a different practice than the entire district. So that's why I was wondering, will we be looking at our entire process and not just an aspect of our recruitment? And then another concern is, right now we have an HR director. I definitely feel like in our districts, because we're a smaller district, we have individuals that wear more than one hats. And I'm just very concerned that the HR function, because it's wearing so many hats, it's not doing HR. So I'm just wondering, what will you offer to improve that?
I'll look at it. I mean, I don't know what it is right now,
Okay.
and I won't until I get in and I ask the questions.
Okay.
But if it's bringing in others to assist with that, I mean, take for instance recruiting. It's hard with a sole HR director who you need to have boots on the ground to handle your day to day. Sometimes it's hard to get to those fairs and to do all of that, and
Mhm.
ideas and ways that you might get some assistance doing that,
Right.
incentivizing teachers to participate, looking within your educational leadership
Mhm.
group to, for not only expanding their experience, but getting enough competent, capable people to do the things that you want to do. So yes, I guess that's on the table.
Yeah, I kind of had a question on that too about, but the training, would you, when you come up with a plan for training, would that, how would that be rolled back out to us? Would that be through an administrator, or would it be a physical training with, other administrators involved, more than just one oversight?
I will do it.
Okay, okay,
I
whatever.
will be your trainer.
Okay,
But having said that, what I anticipate is having a packet of materials that would include a PowerPoint, a manual, exercises, that would be something that, working with your staff, would be something you could replicate. You could tweak it, you could replicate it, you could have things that you're able to do so that you wouldn't have to call me up to do a refresher every
Okay.
time you wanted to.
right.
If that makes sense. Does that make sense? Okay.
And with our collecting, like the collecting and bargaining team is on here, I guess my concern is, how deep of a role does our collective bargaining teams have when it comes to recruiting? I understand, like, as you say, we do want our district to grow. We want it to be opportunities. But I know we've had issues in the past where there has been concern regarding seniority. And, if someone's been here 20 years and versus you have someone that's qualified and that holds a degree. So I'm just wondering, I have concerns regarding that as well. And I guess, can you shed light on what role and how heavy of a role collective bargaining plays when it comes to recruiting?
Not so much a role when it comes to recruiting, but I will tell you, Florida has a statute that gives all public employees the right to organize and to participate in collective bargaining, to the extent that the agreements deal and they have the right to negotiate all material terms and conditions of employment. And that is given precedent even over policy to the effect, unless it conflicts with a statute or existing law. So
Okay.
it can set certain, you will see then my proposal, I propose to review the collective bargaining agreements and talk with the folks that are on the team to just get an idea historically what that process has been like and to understand what the provisions are. And, negotiations is it's an interesting topic. It's a negotiation. It's a two-way
Right.
street. So you come into a table to bargain and you may come in with a list of things that you want to do, but it's not always so easy to accomplish it all at one time because you are dealing with another party on the other side of the table.
Well, I understand that. My question was more so how what role collective bargaining has to play when it comes to recruitment. Because I see they're on here far as key staff. And so I guess that's why my concern is what would be the need and the concern to interview our collective bargaining teams?
Well, to the extent there are things in your agreement that do deal with promotions or seniority, and I don't know because I haven't studied them yet.
Okay.
But, those are things that can impact hiring. Those are things that can impact promotion. So they do have a role in terms of the larger picture of your hiring policies and procedures,
But is it a heavy role? That's my question. Like, is it
It's a role. It's a role. I guess it depends on the issue that you're dealing with.
Okay.
I won't say that it's not an important role. I think it is an important role.
I'm not saying it's not important. I just wanted to know how much weight does it carry when it comes to recruitment?
So,
Okay.
any other questions that I can answer for anyone?
Okay, well, thank you.
Yes, you're
I've got
welcome.
one more and I'll be quiet.
Okay.
In your original email that you sent and I think it was last time, you mentioned 6 months. Tonight you said 4 months. So,
Well, I really think about it as 6 months. On here, I think it goes through April. So I'm considering that if you approve it, that I would start now. And there are things that I would like to do before the end of November, and then things that I want to do in early December, and then really use the time after the interviews to mid-January to prepare the report. And I've budgeted in a little bit of extra time for the back and forth that I anticipate would go on in terms of review of that. I anticipate coming back. I anticipate doing a report every month to Mrs. Ball as to kind of what's going on so that she can keep the board informed as to what has transpired. I think that's so to me, I really think it's more like 5.5 months. When I started putting pen to paper and saying, okay, here's step 1, and I think this is how long it'll take me. Step 2, how long it'll take me. I ended up mid-April. So.
And I got one last question. When you came and met with the superintendent and the members before, were you able to review the committee report?
Yes. I reviewed the committee report before I came here. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
and really have crafted this proposal very much with that top of mind and the recommendations in that report.
Okay, anything else? If not, thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
thank you.
Thank you.
Brings us down to 3.01, items of concern presented by the public. Do we have any that need to come to address the board this evening? If not, we'll move on to 4.01, And it was a consent, and it was approved by the adoption of the agenda. 8.01, approval of agreements and contracts. Item number 1 and item number 3 was approved by the adoption of the agenda. We pulled 8.01, number 2, the agreement with Ms. Deisman for review of hiring, recruitment policies and procedures. So what's the care of the board on that?
I would like to motion that we move forth with hiring Ms. Ditchman for her services. Just based off the presentation tonight and the review from the report, I just strongly feel like this is of grave need. I do have my concerns, but I'm optimistic, and I feel like this is no better time, and it's such a time as this that we do move forth with someone coming in and taking a look at what has been done and how we can make serious improvement and steps towards
All
a more solid plan.
So, Ms.
I have something to add to that if I can, or should I wait?
There's already a motion.
We've got a
I
motion.
I just have a concern that we could address it after we see.
Are you okay with holding your motion and to allow a little further
Oh,
discussion?
yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Basically, I appreciate the presentation. I think you did a great job. My concern is the cost to something that, like you said in your own speech, you can have a policy all day long, but if it sits on the shelf and it's not used, I think after all these years, we should have a good policy in place. We do have a board attorney. So my concern is the cost. And I would like to see an agreement with a not to exceed before I would approve this kind of expenditure, because my concern is we get down the road, oh, well, we didn't get this finished, and then we've got to complete the project. Are you comfortable with your deadlines because of the 4 months and then the 6 month? And are you comfortable with the not to exceed?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm comfortable with the amount that's in the proposal.
okay. And you feel comfortable that everything, before you even open the book, that you're going to complete the book? Okay.
Okay. Ms. Mathis?
I did do some checking when us coming, and I talked to some other attorneys and asked them what kind of an hourly rate we would expect to pay for the services that you're offering. And you are giving us a very good rate, because they told me to expect to pay between $150 and $250 an hour. And so 165 is reasonable, on the low side of reasonable. So if that helps any.
It's not so much the rate, it's the timeline and the total expense. I mean, we do $100 an hour and be 10,000 hours. You see what I'm saying? But I'm just not to exceed is my concern.
One thing we could do is put in the motion, and we could make a little change is that if it was to exceed, that they would have to come back to the board and ask to go over that. But like Ms. Ditchman said,
I think she's comfortable with it being completed is what she's saying.
All right. Any other questions? If not, Ms. Donnell, your motion still
I
stands.
motion. I'm ready for it to start tomorrow.
Okay. We have a motion. Ms. Carlton seconds it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, so carried, so carried.
And
Now-
Ms. Ditchman, you did say you was open to expanding this interview selection.
Within reason.
Okay.
I have to agree to a not to exceed clause. Sometimes
And I just-
it's money limits, but yes, I am.
Okay.
When
Obviously, I cannot come in and interview.
Oh, no, I don't. I mean, I believe in you get what you pay for, and just based off the number of districts you said you work with, and if you reviewed the report, I'm sure you're aware of our concerns. And I just feel like this is something we should have been done, but it's no greater time than now to do it now.
when we came here tonight, I did not intend to vote for this. We just don't have the extra money. But listening to you talk and knowing that the bottom line is to do what is in the best interest of our students. That's where we have, and when you talked about recruiting minority teachers, homegrown minority teachers, to me, that was one of the most important things that you said tonight, because that is one of our biggest needs in our district. And that is in the best interest of our students. So out of all of the things we talked about, that is the one thing that I think is the most important to me.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I do feel like that it is important for minority students to see educators and people in authority positions who
Amen.
look like they look.
It is, very much so. It's our greatest need.
It's very important.
Yeah. You won me over with it.
Oh.
Well, I think all the discussions, conversation is just that everybody wants to get started off on the right foot. And it sounds like getting that way. Okay, 9.01 was a consent. It was approved by the adoption of the agenda, a bus request. This brings us down to 12.01, routine personnel listing. This is an action item.
Motion.
Ms. Carlton makes the motion.
I want to make a correction, Shanna. Is it Deborah Math or Mash? Is Deborah's name supposed to be Mash on there? Okay. I just didn't want us to approve her.
It is, yeah.
12.01,
Yep.
personnel.
What page?
Oh, number 18. I just didn't want to approve her with the wrong name.
On which one?
Number 18 on the personnel.
Do I got an old one or something?
Number 19.
Oh,
19,
19.
okay.
Oh, okay.
We must have added somebody, okay.
Is there a reason why we're doing the personnel as an action item tonight? Okay, I was about to say, we don't normally.
All right, my motion still stands.
Motion. I meant second.
All right, okay, Ms. Carlton makes the motion. Ms. Donnell seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, so carried. This brings us down to item 12.19. This is also an action item, a change in hours, days of position. Ms. Tillman, Director of BBTC, is requesting to establish a custodian position from 11-month 4-hour back to 11-month 8-hour.
Motion.
All right, Ms.
Can I
Wagner.
ask a question?
Can I
on that?
interject? There needs to be, as part of your motion, that the effective date for this change will be after January 4th.
Motion that the change is after January 4th.
Okay.
Superintendent, can I ask a quick question? Is there a reason why we're going back to 8 hours?
We've
I
been-
know Miss, what's her name, is retiring, but I know that was a 4-month position, so.
That's something that Ms. Tillman has been on us, when I tell you, needing more custodial help out there.
Oh, okay.
So we felt like, because she's added programs, she's added students, but we never increased custodial help out there, so.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay, so had a motion from Ms. Agner, second by Ms. Carlton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, so carried. Item 14.02, disposition of surplus and unserviceable property. This is an action item, storage building from the former Perry Primary School.
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Agner, second by Ms. Mathis.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. And then 14.05, this is an action item, donation of storage buildings from former Perry Primary School to the Taylor County Historical Society.
Motion.
I got a question. Is this the same one we just approved in 1402?
And it's just a storage shed, correct me if I'm not wrong, Angela or Dan,
But what she's asking is, we declared it surplus,
and now we're about to donate it, yes.
I just asked because in 1402, you got building, but in 1405, you got buildings. So I was just wondering if it was more than one.
You've got 3 buildings, but
There's 2 of them.
2 of them. And the Historical Society is going to get both of them? Okay.
They
Okay.
sent a thing saying that they would be responsible for moving them, and
Okay, let's see.
Motion?
All right, Ms. Mathis makes a motion on that.
I second.
Okay, Ms. Dunhill seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Item 18.01 is the acknowledgement, District School Board of Taylor County Internal Account Statement of Cash Receipts and Disbursements and Cash Balances as of and for the year ended June the 30th, 2020. Just an acknowledgement. And this brings us down to the interest, items of interest by superintendent and board. And so, Ms. Ball, do you have anything?
I just want to thank the board for the reappointment as your attorney for the upcoming year, and I look forward to working with y'all again.
Do we have an executive session or anything? We do?
Briefly.
Okay.
I'm
okay.
glad y'all reappointed me before I told you that.
Okay. All right, Mr. Glover.
Oh, I just like to say, thank you to our entire county for the opportunity to get to serve with each and every one of you again and to lead this district for another 4 years. It's truly an honor and something that my family and I take very, very serious. The main thing, if everybody will continue to work together and lots of prayers, if we can survive this COVID, I think we'll be able to take just about anything else head on. So I think we have accomplished a lot over the past 4 years. You know, highlight is being a district. We're getting disciplined where it needs to be. Our academics, our graduation rate's been going up. So there's a lot of positives, but there's also still a lot of work ahead of us that we still need to accomplish because our students deserve the best and our staff deserves the best. And continuing working together, we'll be able to accomplish that. So I really appreciate the opportunity and take this very serious. So thank you. Football team travels to Panama City this Friday night for what we'd say would be the third round of the playoffs. Got a really good draw, so wish them good luck. Basketball is starting up. Soccer is starting up, so it's a real busy time of the year for everybody right now. So a lot of hard work by a lot of employees are going in, and a lot of hard work by our student athletes too. ROTC, you know, if you were there, you heard the speech, and it was really neat this year. Our cadets spoke, and you know they talked about we had 3 of the best instructors ROTC I think in the state for many years. It took us a little bit to figure out how to replace them and get the right ones in there, but I feel like we have got the right ones in there. And if you'd have been at the ceremonies, you can see, I believe our ROTC program is on the track to be the best that it used to be. And I was very proud. I forwarded y'all some messages where Mr. Wiggins even complimented the ROTC. So really appreciate that. Because of last Thursday taking off for the storm, which ended up be a beach day, I think, for everybody, and a nice, at least the weather was nice. And I will say, I think that's one time we want to be wrong. And I'm okay with us being wrong, counseling school and us being wrong. Because if we'd got it right, that means we were dealing with a storm. And if you saw the amount of water that got pushed up in Cedar Key, I cannot imagine if that storm would have shifted and that would have been Steinhatchee with our buses trying to run. That would have been a mess. So, but because of that, we are going to look at after Christmas adding 10 minutes to the day to make sure that way we have to meet the minutes set by the state. So we will be having to look at that because you also remember we delayed school those, you know, in the very beginning. So we're not playing with a lot of extra time there. So
You say after Christmas, we're gonna add
after Thanksgiving.
after Thanksgiving, okay. Have we sent notice out to our families?
We
yet?
have not. We just calculated that the past 2 days.
Oh,
And
okay.
I tell you, I sent the email out to our administrators today and asked them to wait till Thursday in case some questions or something comes up that we may have not thought of.
Okay.
So I've asked them to notify parents on Thursday.
Okay.
Also, Thursday will be our Thanksgiving meal here at noon. You're more than welcome to come eat with us. With that, I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. Spend some time with your families, of course, socially distance. Spend time with families and relax and have a good time. We have a lot, even with this COVID going on, we have so much to be thankful for. So.
All right, thank you, Mr. Danielle.
Yes, I first want to extend a congratulations to Jeannie, myself, and Dr. Glover. God has spoken, and I just feel like we got a lot of work to do. But first and foremost, we got to pray, pray, and just work in harmony so we can make sure we truly servicing our community. I don't think there's no going back to pre-COVID. I think times are going to get harder and they're going to get more challenging. So it's going to require, whether we like it or not, that we got to respect and work together. Who's going to replace the people in this room? And if we keep our hearts in that posture, I think that'll help us do what we need to do when we come in this room. Again, congratulations to all our students and the success in the programs. I just want to make sure that we give our parents proper notice with this time change, especially due to work schedules and everything that else got already going on. Y'all excuse me. I'm okay. I'm really okay. I don't know why I got so emotional right then, but yeah, and but again, that we do take this time, I think, with with Thanksgiving, we have more than enough to be thankful for. And I think whether we like it or not, I'm pretty sure, I haven't watched the news a lot, and I'm glad I haven't. But for some reason, I feel another lockdown coming on. And I just want to make sure as a district that we're doing everything we can to make sure that if we have to send our kids home on computers, we're ready to send them home on computers. I think this is just a learning process, and if we need to look at it like a living document every day, we can do better, and we can just, follow, whatever's happening. I think the state is moving. I think everybody's doing what they can. And with struggle comes growth. But it's good growth and it's needed growth. And I think if we just challenge ourselves, we'll get where we need to be. But again, congratulations tonight. I'm very pleased with the report from Ms. Ditchman, and I look forward to seeing what opportunity that brings us for a district. But I just pray that we have a mindset to not allow this to sit on the shelf, and it does work towards progress, and it does work towards working with our community. Because I don't think we have a problem with having a grow your own program. I just think we've allowed stumbling blocks to get in the way. But I definitely think there's people in this community, there's students that want to work. I just think we have got to put more effort with opportunity, and not just effort, we got to put action with making sure our district resembles our community and we're properly servicing our families in our community.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Zager?
Yes, I agree with what Deidre's saying. I think that our administrators, our teachers, everybody in our district wears more than one hat. And when you're spread too thin, it's hard to do a good job at anything. And I'm a fine one to talk because I have several jobs, but we've all got to focus on the students and what's best for them. And it's not about us, it's about them and us doing what we feel like as a community, as a board member, as a superintendent, what is going to actually affect them. So in that, we've got so much to be thankful for. Like Deidre said, the BBTC dinner the other night was awesome. And I encourage everybody out there in the community to take part in that next year. You are missing a treat if you don't. We were honored with Mr. Schoaf came, or Representative Schoaf came and got to sit with us and had good conversation about our district. He has always been on our side as far as the district goes. He loves our BPTC community, and he's there for us. If you need to speak to someone, he's a good one to speak to. So proud of the ROTC.
Mhm.
I mean, that builds leadership and helps with self-esteem for kids that will go far in life if they stay with it. Bozeman will be a good opponent, from what I hear, for the football team Friday night. We'll be praying that they get there safe and back safe. And you can listen to it with Mr. Dan over there announcing. And this is a little bit of a business thing for our vendors that may be out there, that are people in the community that have a trait or a skill of some sort. Please come see Mr. Dan and let him know what your specialties are. So many times he goes out and gets quotes, and he doesn't know that you might be in this type of situation or this type of business. He's not going to know to go ask for you to put a quote in. Now, I've asked the district to give us a list of projects that will be coming up this next year that will actually have to go out for bid. And that threshold is $35,000. And it's not going to be piecemeal. We know what it's going to cost. If it's over $35,000, we're going to bid it out. So our community, like Deidre said, we need to work with our community, and we need to be honest and transparent with our community, but they also need to be honest and transparent with us as far as what they're capable of doing. So other than that, that's all I have. I pray that you all have a great Thanksgiving, and that if there's any way, as a board member, we're all here for you. Just pick up the phone, text us, email us, whatever needs to be happening. We'll be glad to listen.
Well, they've said it all before I got here, but can just welcome back Miss Ball, Danny, Deidre. I feel very blessed to be here and always, and I feel like it's the best job I've ever had, because I truly love to be able to represent the employees and the students and the parents and the families. And like Bonnie Sue said, we're always on call. We don't clock out. If you need us, call us. We'll be there. We'll just all you have to do is let us know. And I think that I'm kind of surprised at myself for giving the approval to Ms. Dinkman. Did I say her name right? Ditchman. Because they didn't find any wrongdoing. I didn't see the point in paying $16,500 when no wrongdoing was found. But I did, in the end, follow through, because I would love to see us identify the future teachers in our district. I would love to see us mentor them and encourage them to come back home and teach here. And I would love for our families to have a chance to have those teachers that are their daughters and their sons and their grandchildren, still have them in this community, and that they don't move away somewhere else, that they're still with us. So if we have somebody who can help us do that, who can help us bring more minority teachers into our district, I'm willing to give her a shot, because I can't think of anything we need more right now than that. So I'm actually excited that we just agreed to do that. So also I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving coming up, and I'll see y'all next meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Carlton.
Okay, I want to agree with Dr. Glover on the veterans ceremony at the high school. It was just awesome, and not only was the ROTC, excellent in everything that they did, the band was just awesome. It was if you were listening to that band, you would have said,
Got a great
"Where is
band.
this coming from?" And it was great. And the dinner under the pines, I think they're a little over $30,000 that they raised right now. Probably some more trickling in there. So that was good. I am looking forward for the year to come. I think that it's, I hope Judge Blue's right, but I am looking forward to this next year. I also went to Taylor Primary today, and Dr. Glover and Miss Brandon and Miss Gray, we did a little tour and walked around, and there was just so much teaching going on. The children were just, And I mean, they weren't doing it just because we were there. I mean, they were on good behavior. It was just
It's a
awesome.
well-behaved school.
It was a very well behaved and, but I appreciate that tour. Appreciate all the hard work by everyone. And I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, but we haven't mentioned that the middle school football team are the conference champions. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And that's all.
All right, well, thank you, and I can concur with all that's been said. Congratulations for those who were sworn in this evening for another 4-year term, and I don't know what you see in me that you want me over here in this table, but anyway, I thank you for the opportunity. It is to be able to serve as chair, but it comes with a little bit more work than what it seems sometimes. But thank you for your confidence. Heard the word thankful quite a bit tonight, and certainly we have a lot to be thankful for, even in the midst of all that we've in kind of faced this year, and yet the unknown still ahead of us. We still have a lot to be thankful for, and I go back and look at history a little bit, most especially, with folks who are people of faith, and I can't even think. Now we think "Oh God" or something other is a hymn that was written, or the words was written back in 1600, and the writer of it was a parish or one over the church, and back then it was they had what they call the 31-year war, when there was such division among the nation and the neighbors, and then a pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And this one man who wrote this song lost his wife. He had a house full of children, lost all the other helpers he had. In fact, he helped to perform funerals for 4,000 people during this pandemic in 1 year. And yet, after all that, he was able to find in his heart Thanksgiving. So no matter what we go through and what we may face, we still have a lot to be thankful for. So as all have said tonight, let's be thankful. And I'm thankful that we're here for the board we have, for the place I live, and let's just all work together to make it the very best that it can be. And with that said, it's time to adjourn.
Motion.
We do, okay. Who said the motion? Ms.
Motion.
Donnell, and then Ms. Agner seconds it. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we do have an executive meeting, and take just a couple of minutes and we'll go into that.
Angela, I forgot to tell you congratulations.